So we have people talk about their lives on minimum wage. If you live in America and you're working a minimum wage job, you might relate to this because it's very difficult to live in America with a minimum wage job because you are definitely surviving, barely surviving. Let's hear what these people have to say.
Somebody sure did say that making $13 an hour in this economy ain't enough money. And they right. I mean, it's not enough money. I make $13 an hour. Well, I make $13.50 an hour. If that 50 cent make a difference. It don't when I get paid, it don't be looking like it make much of a difference. But I live at home with my parents. I ain't got no bills like that. So me making them $13.50 an hour is straight for me. I mean, and I don't have any children. I don't have no kids either. So it's straight for me. But I will say this. If you are like somebody who live on your own and if you have children, that kind of money is definitely not enough. It's actually an insult. Like if you have your own place and you have like real responsibilities and you have to look out for other human beings, yeah, that for sure is not enough money. But I mean, I managed to make them $13.50 an hour work. I mean, sometimes I'm in a place where I'm able to save money. Sometimes I'm able to treat myself, only because the responsibilities, like it ain't there, like it ain't there for me. And I'm in my late 20s. So now in my case, this is very much temporary because I moved back home to actually start my own business, and I have started that business and I have made money from that business. So this is not permanent. This is very much so temporary. And until I get on my feet and I'm making my money consistently, of course, I'll be in a position to quit that job that's paying me $13.50 an hour.
$18 an hour? Bro. Anyways, I went to a gas station and grabbed a snack real quick, and I saw a sign and it was like, now hiring $18 an hour. Great benefits. How do y'all expect us to survive on 18 an hour? How? What is this? I get it. It's a gas station, minimum wage, cashier work, whatever. But it's starting to get to a point where $18 an hour, how are you going to afford that? How are you going to afford to live? You're not. I thankfully make 30 an hour, right? And I have amazing benefits. So I'm in a position where it's ass. Now, some people are going to hear me say that and freak out. $30 an hour is still not good. It's great. But in a state like New York, I don't get anywhere with it. But 18 an hour? 18 an hour? Yo, what is going on, man? This is not okay. We as a society should not allow this to happen. We need more money. And then I'm going to have the blue collar workers come in here and be like, oh, brother, you're not working 95 hours a day. Like, bro, yes, I know you bust your ass. Yes, but you should get more money too. Blue collar workers should get insane money. If you're not in a union, you don't get good money as a blue collar worker. I know this because I've done it. But anyway, rant over. We need more money. Like, what is going on?
The minimum wage in America would need to be $66 an hour to have the same buying power that the dollar had back in the 80s. You're lucky if you could go on Indeed anymore and find a job that offers more than $18 or $19 an hour. People are out here kicking into the towel, not seeing the point in doing this anymore because they realize that there's no point and they've been scammed out of their life, and they realize that their time is more valuable than money. Some of us don't want to wait until retirement age, until our bodies and our spirits are too old and broken down to even enjoy life, just to look back and see all we did the last 45 years of our lives was clocked in and went to work. Money isn't even everything anymore, yet they have all of us brainwashed to believe in chasing that and pay all your bills and shit. It's all gone. And once you realize all of this is a scam, that's when the true freedom comes in.
It's always the jobs that have no future. Like, it's always the jobs where you have no future at that they're always like, why were you in the bathroom for 7 minutes? What? Did someone cover your shift? Did you just take a 10-minute lunch? Did you just take a 10-minute lunch? Whole time you're making like $9.50 an hour. Any job I've had where there's an actual like career, like I'm actually like, there's a benefit to the job. They've been, oh yeah, bro, take your time. Oh, relax. Oh yeah, figure it out. Oh, bro, you're up. It's always the minimum wage, fast food, service, like people just ego trip. It makes no sense. Hold on, let me flex. Shut a steak. But it really is hilarious to me because I've worked a lot of jobs. I've worked at so many different places. And so I just sit there and I start thinking, I'm like, bro, every time someone was tripping on me, it was about something so dumb, so trivial, easy as shit. They just wanted to have an ego trip. Bro, it's,
In 1970, the minimum wage was $1.40. That is $224 a month. However, the average apartment was only $108. So for 48% of your check, you could get an apartment. Fast forward to 2024, the federal minimum wage is $7.25, which is $1,160 a month, but the average apartment is $1,700. You cannot even afford an apartment today. In fact, if you make twice the minimum wage, you cannot afford an apartment in 2024. If you want to know what it was like growing up in 1970, the average apartment today should be $556. Millennials and Gen Zers, can you imagine how incredible life would be if rent was only $556? But let's look back to 1970 at the median household income. It was $8,700 and the median house price was just $17,000. So just 2 times the yearly salary. Fast forward to today, median household income, $85,000, median house, $400,000. That is 4.7 times. If you want to know what it was like in 1970, the average house today should be $170,000, which is fair, which would help everyone get into a house and the American dream would still be alive. So yes, things are always difficult for every generation, but it is significantly harder for millennials and Gen Zers. So boomers, let's stop beefing with each other and let's see how we can help the millennials and Gen Zers have a bright future.
They lied to you. Minimum wage was never meant for teenagers. It was meant so grown adults didn't starve. And they've been playing in our faces about it ever since. So when they created the minimum wage back in 1938, it wasn't about giving kids a few bucks for gas money. It was about making sure grown adults with families could survive. FDR himself literally said it. A living wage, not just enough to exist, but to live decently. But look at what they tell you now. Minimum wage is for kids. It's just a starter job. You're not supposed to live off of that. Because here's the truth they don't advertise. Most minimum wage workers today aren't teenagers. The average minimum wage worker is about 35 years old. A lot of them are raising families, paying rent, and surviving off tips and scraps. So why do they push this teenager myth? Because if they can convince you that minimum wage workers aren't real adults, then they can shame people for being poor. They can freeze wages. They can protect the billionaires at the top, all while blaming you for a system that they rigged. It's the same old scam. Blame the worker, hide the exploitation. Pretend poverty is a personal failure instead of a manufactured reality. If a full-time job can't cover basic rent, food, and healthcare, that's not a worker problem. That's a broken system problem. Minimum wage is supposed to be the floor that you could stand on, not the basement they bury you in. Don't let them shame you into surviving a system that was never meant to let you live easy in the first place.
The fact that you can legally get paid $7.25 an hour in many parts of this country is absolutely criminal. Imagine you work like a 10-hour shift. That's $72.50. And that's a pre-tax total. What do you get after taxes? 50 to 60 bucks? You can literally work 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. and get $55? That's insane. Yet our politicians make 6 figures for making life terrible for everybody.
If you work a minimum wage job, you better have roommates, you better live with your parents or more than one person to live with, because who's going to pay your rent? Who's going to help you pay your rent? Who's going to help you with your groceries? It's not enough. It's never enough. You will need people to survive in this economy, more than one, to live comfortably, especially if you have kids to feed, kids that go to school. You have to provide for them. You know, you have to provide for them financially, and if they ever need stuff they need to be done at school, you need to provide them with that. And it's a lot, you know, so you definitely need people to survive in this economy.
I said I wasn't going to let this upset me, but I'm just going to have to say this. Where the hell do these jobs get off, bro? With trying to offer you $15 an hour, $16 an hour, $17 an hour, and then requiring you to be there anywhere between 8 to 12 hours per day. I'm looking on this damn website, on all these websites, for a different occupation because the one I have fucking sucks ass, right? I'm looking here, all I see, $19 an hour, $17 an hour, $15. What the fuck am I gonna do with $500-$600 a week? And then you don't even pay that weekly, it's bi-weekly. What the fuck am I gonna do with $1,200 every 2 weeks? I want you to sit here and answer this question. What are you going to do if I took away all the money you had, all the money that you are accustomed to making, whatever it is, and I gave you $1,200 every 1st and 15th? How would you feel about that? You'd probably be evicted before you even say, yes, give me that job. Like, am I missing something? I must be the problem. I must be the problem, because I could have sworn that when you go and get a job, it's supposed to pay you enough money for you to live in an apartment, a house, wherever the hell you want to live at. You may have a mobile home. I don't know. It pays you enough money for you to exist, not pay you enough money to piss you the fuck off. And then the responsibilities that they want you to do. Oh, you gotta stand up for 12 hours a day, and then they look at you funny when you want to break. And oh, you gotta drive from Arkansas to Mississippi, from Mississippi to Tennessee, from Tennessee to Texas, from Texas to Maine, Maine to California, and then they only want to pay you barely $1,000 a week. What? Bro, these jobs is on that bullshit, bro. Like, realistically speaking, these jobs is on that bullshit. I see why motherfuckers trap. I see why Franklin Saints exist. I see why people that do the BMF and the pushing this and the selling that, I see why they do this shit, bro. At first, I'd be like, man, I could never do that shit. Now I'm starting to think like, damn, what's the recipe? Because I'll be in that kitchen water whipping. You got me fucked up.
$15 an hour is poverty, and I think we need to say that loudly, because right now, companies use it as a badge of honor. That is a fact. Preach, okay? When I was maybe in high school, I would have thought that was like amazing. I would have been like, oh my goodness, 15 an hour, because I was making like 7 back then. That's more than double what I was making, right? But now 15 ain't gonna buy you nothing. It's literally, like you said, poverty. $15 an hour is literally nothing. Not in this economy. The way inflation is high right now, and people keep saying the economy is booming, and it's all, it makes me a little bit sad, because it's a lie. Because the C-suite people are literally just making inflation increase day by day, and they're not paying us enough in response. But I don't know, maybe that's just my opinion. Let me know, what do you think? Do you think $15 an hour is a good wage to make? Or should they increase that at least up to 20? I feel like 20 is decent for me in most places. And in other places like Cali and New York, it needs to be 25. The cost of living there is ridiculous.
Being 15 and making minimum wage is probably the most powerful I've ever felt as an employee. Been late all week this week. I don't give a fuck. Think I fucking need this job? Mommy and daddy pay all the bills, motherfucker. I'm here to hang out with my friends and make fun of all the grown adults that actually need this job. Bitch. You showed up 5 minutes. I'll show up 20 minutes late tomorrow. I'll show up with my dick hanging out of my pants if I feel like it. Guess what you're gonna do about it? Not shit. Fucking nothing. Nothing. Watch your mouth.
I make almost twice the federal minimum wage, and I am still thousands of dollars below the poverty line. I am homeless. I live in my car. I cannot afford to rent an apartment. I can hardly afford to live in my car. Food is expensive, and it's tough times, you know? I work 40 hours a week. I am not in an entry-level position. I am in a skilled position. I make twice the federal minimum wage, and I am poor. And if that isn't the most late-stage capitalism thing, if you want to buy me a meal, my Venmo's in my bio.
The hill that I will die on is that all politicians should make minimum wage. And if you're thinking, whoa, that's too low, that's exactly the point. If you put them on minimum wage, just watch how fast they'll raise it.
Living on minimum wage means that you have to live below your means, because you cannot be splurging, you cannot be buying luxury things on minimum wage, or else you will be broke. You have to calculate every little single payments, purchases that you have to do. If not, you will end up broke, okay? And you will need people to be around with, because without people, you will not be able to survive in this economy. You will need to have roommates. You will need to have your parents, because you cannot afford it. You cannot afford housing. The grocery is too much. You can no longer find any items at Walmart less than $5 that will feed your stomach. because everything now is just junk and super expensive.
Working minimum wage genuinely is hell because the things some people will complain over is genuinely insane. I remember one time somebody wanted to speak to my manager about my colored hair. What the hell are they supposed to do about that? This was a fast food job too. I handed them the order out the window and they just wanted to speak to my manager. Turns out they were just complaining about me having colored hair. What? How does this affect you? What? Also, another time, one of my coworkers complained about my colored hair. Look, I just don't understand. Why do these people care so much about stuff like this? It doesn't matter.
How come whenever I'm working part-time, these people never want me to leave? Ever! It's the way I'm not even working there yet. Girl, I'm in the interview and they're like, are you moving anywhere soon? What are your thoughts about after college? I know you're majoring in business. What are you gonna do in the future with business? Oh, well, we have some opportunities in our company. So, when you graduate college, you should work with us and continue working with us for the rest of your life. How many more years of school do you have? Oh my God, what are your thoughts about the future? Girl, I don't know about my future. Why do you care so much? Trust, if I knew, I wouldn't be here. Do you want me to marry this company? I'm working
minimum wage, and I cannot afford to live.
I can break it down perfectly for you. So I'm one of the many Americans struggling with homelessness. I live in a vehicle that was made in 1996. I live on the side of the road, and I live in parking lots from time to time. When I can, I stay at campgrounds. But this was obviously not my first choice of living. At the time I became homeless, I was 22. My grandma had just passed away. I had applied to 6 different apartments and I got denied at every place because I didn't have renter's history or credit yet. Because like I said, at the time I was 22, I never rented before and I never built credit. So after being denied multiple times, I did have to stay in motels and my money was going fast on nights at motels. Plus the motels weren't super clean or safe, and I have 2 cats. Well, I have 3 cats, but at the time when I first became homeless, I did have 2 cats. Now, the answer that you want, I have. You're wondering why they are doing this, and you're wondering why we are not fighting back. Slavery never stopped, it just evolved. The government requires you to be a slave to them in order to rent an apartment. You could have money. You could have, for example, $10,000 cash, but you still will not be able to get a place to live unless you have proof that you have been a slave to the system, pay stubs, bank statements, proof that you work a certain amount of hours. If you are not making money for the government, then they don't want you. They don't want to help you, and they see you as a burden. The system is set up for rich families. If I had a co-signer, I would be able to get a place to live, but I had no family or friends to co-sign for me, so I've just been navigating this kind of by myself, and I spent my life savings on this vehicle so that I didn't have to sleep in my car or outside in the park. But the government doesn't believe you guys will fight back, and they're trying to make you so tired that you won't fight back, or you will become so rageful and you won't think straight, so you'll get yourself in legal trouble, and then once you get locked away, you can legally be used as a slave. It says it in our amendments. When you get arrested, you can be used as a slave, legally. It says it in our amendments in very little font. So at the end of the day, it's all about the elites using the middle class and the poor as their workhorses. I always try to tell people you will never get rich working a 9-to-5 job because the rich never got rich that way. The rich are telling you guys, go work a 9-to-5 job and you will be like us. But they really got their money from generational wealth, slavery, funding wars. The reason inflation happened and you guys need to be making more money for your rent and for your gas is because they're giving money to the wars, because the rich elites of our country make money by funding wars, by trading missiles and trading weapons and stuff. So that's why they need you guys to work extra hard for them right now, because you guys are helping funding the war. Meanwhile, many of you are getting angry, rageful, getting yourself in legal trouble because you're tired, you're exhausted. You're needing to depend more on healthcare because you're sick now and you're getting overworked. No humans should be working this much. Never in history have we before. The funniest thing is, right now I'm homeless living on the side of the road, but I'm making more money than my grandma was, or my grandparents, my mother, back in the day. Their rent was $300, but they're gonna tell us that they worked just as hard as us and that we're the bums and we're lazy. because they're not going to own up to the mess that they made. And they don't care anyways because they're not going to be on Earth for much longer. So we're going to be the ones to deal with it, and then our children. But you guys just have to realize it's about slavery. It's about power and control. It's about feeding the elites, feeding the rich. They don't care what happens to you. They see you as ants. If you pass away, they will replace you with a new employee. They really don't care. You're just money. You make money for them, and they even say money doesn't exist. It's just meant to control you because they know money doesn't exist. They trade numbers. They do not trade money. Money is paper. It's a made-up thing to control the middle class and the poor so that you guys stay in your lane. So you can keep getting angry like this, but that's not going to do anything. You have to become brave. Stop depending on the government. They control you with fear because they think that you need them. They took away our human instincts, so you don't think you can hunt for food or make your own house, but you think you can make money to pay somebody to do it for you. And that's where they have you, because you don't know how to be self-sustainable anymore, and you need to rely and depend on them. When at the end of the day, we have trees we can go cut down and build our houses. We know how to build a fire. I grew up in a town where hunting is a thing every season. We hunt for deer and turkeys. But they have you fooled thinking that giving away $2,000 every 30 days is winning. When at the end of the day, not paying rent is winning, dude. I don't pay rent. Literally, I've never paid rent in my entire life. I tried, but they didn't want me to because I didn't qualify. So now I've been learning how to live in different ways without the government, and they hate me for that. But in these next couple of years, you're going to see van life, RVs, trailers all over the place because some people want to be free for the little time that we have on Earth. We don't want to be working our young lives away for corporations that don't care about us. At the end of the day, people need to stop paying rent and fueling the rich and the elites, but that's not going to happen. So, get it how you live it while you're on Earth. Try to enjoy your time while you're here, and just try to wake up to the fact that money and material items really aren't all that.
Minimum wage jobs will never understand that you are purely here for a check. You are just here to not be broke. You don't give a damn about nobody that works here. I told my boss I needed the weekend off. He said, "Oh, I don't know if I can do that. You have responsibilities here." Nigga, responsibilities? I'm a pizza delivery driver. Somebody else will deliver their calzone, I promise you. They be acting like I'm trying to make this shit a career. Bro, I wouldn't even take a shit here if I didn't work here.
The minimum wage should be a livable wage. You should be able to go from absolutely nothing, living on the streets, to getting a full-time job and be able to afford a place to live with everything else you need to live, like, to function in our society. It's ridiculous that it's not. Like, and when I say that minimum wage should be a livable wage, I don't mean raise the minimum wage until it's livable, and if it's not, to keep raising it. No. But our society should figure out how to make minimum wage livable. If that means raising it, then raise it. If that means government taking over the housing sector or whatever, then yeah, because housing's too expensive and the private market has failed. So why we keep doing this? Just like healthcare, single payer healthcare. All these things are connected. But as something our society should have is, if you work what we consider a full-time job, so 40 hours a week, if you work 40 hours a week, you should be able to make a livable wage. So yeah.
Minimum wage is livable if you are to eat ramen every day, canned goods, sardines, because that's all that we can afford. That's all people can afford on minimum wage, unless they're living with their parents and there's people supporting them. Then they can actually save up for their future. But without anybody helping them, just independent person living on minimum wage with kids, that's even worse, you will need to find some other way to survive in this world, in this economy, in this country. You might have to leave the country if you have to, you know? Maybe there's better opportunities out there. So it is what it is.
There is now 0 states in the US where a minimum wage job can afford a 2-bedroom apartment. But fuck a 2-bedroom apartment, let's look at a 1-bedroom apartment. And to add a little cherry on top, let's look at the state ranked #1 in affordability, Arkansas, which has an average rent for a 1-bedroom apartment of $958 a month. So if you're working a minimum wage job at 40 hours a week, 4 weeks in a month, you're bringing home $1,160. And that's before the government takes tax money to go bomb children overseas. So if you're living in the most affordable state in America, you have $200 to spend to split between groceries, healthcare, insurance, car payment, education, anything like that. And you don't even have that $200 because this is without getting taxed. Since 1985, median rent prices have increased over 150%, while incomes have only increased 35%. Do you see the disparity? And I can already smell the comments. If you don't think the minimum wage should be a living wage, if you don't think that you should be able to survive off of the federal minimum wage, then your opinion's irrelevant. So just go ahead and scroll on to the next video because we don't need you here. The whole reason a minimum wage was created so that even the lowest paid workers could afford to survive. And now they literally can't. And the problem is it's not even a minimum wage. In states like Illinois, a renter must earn $30 an hour or work 2 full-time $15 an hour jobs just to be able to afford a 2-bedroom apartment comfortably. So you and your spouse/roommate both need to be making over double the minimum wage and working at least 40 hours a week to be able to afford to live. And yet we got Congress crying about $175,000 salary. It's not affordable. We can't afford to live. Shut the fuck up.
$18 an hour? $18 an hour? I just stopped by the gas station and saw a sign that said $18 an hour with great benefits. I'm not trying to knock on cashier jobs or minimum wage jobs, because I gotta get money somehow. But how are you supposed to survive off of $18 an hour in the great year of 2025 in this economy? Like, there's no way that you're gonna be able to afford rent, utilities, bills, your car, off of $18 an hour. I mean, I obviously can't say anything because I'm still unemployed. Like, I literally spend all day swiping right on Sprout, just auto-applying to jobs. But I feel like we as a society need to do something about this because this is, like, not okay.
Why do minimum wage jobs always expect maximum effort? They always expect you to do the most, no matter what. They want you to come in early, stay late, work off the clock. Like, bro, I make $8 an hour! And then when I don't do the maximum stuff, because I'm not a slave, they call me a bad worker. Like, you're paying me $8 an hour! If I'm doing the maximum effort, I expect maximum pay.
Bro, why are you sleeping so slow? How much are we both getting paid? $14 an hour? And how much would I be getting paid if I worked getting faster? $14 an hour? Exactly. If I work faster, I'm getting paid the same. Huh, I never really thought of it like that. We're the ones doing all the work, while the higher ups, they're making 5 times our wage, while they do nothing. We can't let these big guys walk all over us, or we'll never get anywhere in life. Minimum wage, minimum effort. Wow, you're really smart. Hey, can you cover for me? I gotta go to the restroom. The bathroom again, Thomas? That's your 4th time this hour. I can't control how my body reacts. Just don't take 10 minutes this time. Bro, the managers are always out to get me. Oh crap. Why do you take so long in the bathroom? You don't know why? There's a famous saying I invented. Boss makes $1, I make a dime. That's why I poop on company time. Oh, I get it. It's like you're getting a free paid break. Hey, you wanna see another cool method? See that cookie tray over there? You just wanna walk over here, block the views from all the cameras, and then you wanna go to the freezer to eat it. Hey boss, you said you wanted to talk to me? We're gonna have to let you go. You're fired. Why? Do you think we're blind? We see you stealing nuggets and cookies on the cameras. I'm one of the most consistent workers at the store. I cooked without me.
Minimum wage should be livable. You may not be able to buy everything that you want, but you should be able to afford everything that you need. Like basic housing, basic groceries, just basic healthcare. We may not have like super luxurious cars, but hopefully our economy changes to where a minimum wage worker can afford a basic simple housing, a livable house where it may not be a 2-story house. It could be 2-bedroom house or 1 bedroom, but it's livable. It's enough for them to live. But in this economy, you can't afford anything at all, not even a single apartment. So for all the minimum wage workers out there, keep working hard. Be the best version of you, and let's just hope for the best. Okay? Peace.